Hey everyone, I'm Chris and this is Cue the Credits. Welcome back to Cue the Credits, the home of everything boutique Blu-rays, physical media and the art of collecting. Can you believe we're in April? Because I can't. And the fact that this is the roundup video for March is absolutely nuts. Now you may have saw in the title or the thumbnail over 60 titles. This is going to be a biggie and I'm going to try and be as quick as possible for you, but yeah, it was a busy March. So if you are new here, my name's Chris, this is Cue the Credits. We talk movies, we talk physical media, and every single month we talk about what I have watched in the previous month. So first off, let's talk numbers, let's talk stats. Firstly, 63 films logged on Letterboxd. Wow! Of those 63 films logged, 35 of them were in the cinema. Yeah, I'm tired. And then 26 of them were on streaming. Big month for streaming. So that means only 2 films were watched on physical media. What's going on? Let's get into those 63 titles, and I'm not going to be doing as much of a talk on these ones obviously as I would normally do because it is just going to take an absolute age. So started the month off with East is East. This is the Damien O'Donnell drama comedy about a Muslim family living in Salford in the early 70s, and it touches on the various cultural norms that a Muslim family living in Britain should be following, but actually what happens is something totally different because of the environment that they are being brought up in. This was an interesting take for a world that I have not really any clue in, and you could definitely feel the 90s comedic take of it, even though it was set in the 70s, and there's some darker tones definitely in this, but I would absolutely recommend it. Next, in the lead up to Scream 7, I decided that I should probably watch the Scream films, considering I've never properly watched any of them all the way through. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to be putting up my reviews and ratings for Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream 5 and Scream 6 on the screen. But quite honestly, I loved the original trilogy. The first Scream is a 5 out of 5. It is a horror slasher masterpiece. And though obviously I've seen bits and I've seen all the parodies, watching it all the way through was just great. And because I enjoyed it so much, I watched Scream 2 directly after, and that's really saying something. I love getting into those rabbit holes where you're just like, let's keep that train rolling. Scream 3 was fun, but didn't really hold a candle to the first or second. Then we were pretty much back in action for Scream 4. Scream 5 was just, that's my lowest rated one. I really didn't enjoy it. Scream 6 had great potential at the start. I loved the new setting, and especially that convenience store bodega bit. I was like, if this is what we're getting, it's going to be great. And then it just wasn't. And then of course topped it off with Scream 7, which I didn't think was that bad. Of course, right at the start of the month it was getting review bombed for various things that the cast and crew were involved in, or the production company, but as a slasher film I thought it was pretty serviceable, to be honest. Definitely not my lowest rated out of the 7 films, and quite honestly, was it needed? Probably not, but it was still an enjoyable time at the cinema. In the midst of all of that, I also got to watch a preview screening of How to Make a Killing. This is the new Glen Powell, Margaret Qualley film, where Glen Powell is a down-on-his-luck heir to a billionaire fortune, but the only way you can get it is taking out all of the rest of the family, who actually don't know about him because he's an estranged son. This was a middle-of-the-road, enjoyable watch, like a good mid-budget drama comedy, the stuff that we haven't really been getting, so it was a fun time. I really appreciate Glen Powell in these sort of roles like this and Linklater's Hitman. It really gives him chance to shine. How to Make a Killing is still currently in theatres. I would absolutely recommend you go and check it out if you can. Now, March is, of course, Oscars month, and I watched pretty much I missed The Ugly Stepsister annoyingly, but every other feature film that had any smidge of a nomination. So, let me get through the next couple and then I'm going to do all of the Oscar nominations in one big block. It's probably the easiest way to do it. So during that whole time, I also checked out Hoppers in the cinema. This is the new Disney Pixar film that's just been released. It's directed by Daniel Chong, about some scientists and Earth activists who have been able to transplant their thoughts into anthropomorphic animals that can blend in with nature and find out loads of different bits of research for them. You're probably thinking, that kind of sounds like Avatar. And they do make that joke in the film, so it is definitely on the nose. But this was such a fun time, and it really hit me right in the feels with all of the Earth stuff, and on like a personal level, because we're currently having some like tree and nature based problems near to where we live, which is really upsetting. And honestly, for all these people who are doing just awful things to the environment near us, I would really like to just sit them in a cinema, Clockwork Orange their eyes open, and get them to watch this film just to have a better understanding of the impact that they're having. But I'll get off my soapbox because you guys are here to talk about movies, and Hoppers is a good one. I will talk about Elio shortly, which is Pixar's last outing before Hoppers, and let's just say I watched it a couple of days before and I was really apprehensive going into Hoppers because of that. Thankfully, Hoppers is great. Then watched The Bride. This is the Maggie Gyllenhaal directed, Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale story about the Bride of Frankenstein, but not the Bride of Frankenstein, just The Bride. And quite honestly, as I put in my Letterboxd review, this kind of felt so muddled together and just all crammed in so that the stitches didn't pop out. It just didn't really know what it wanted to do. Felt a little bit disjointed. And I'm kind of in the vein where maybe I'll do a rewatch, but it just didn't do it for me. It was well acted by Buckley and Bale. There was some good direction and beautiful shots. It just didn't really hit the mark for me. It was a really middle of the road blockbuster, which I've been hyped about for probably the best part of 6 months. And it really sucks when that happens, when you're really hyped for a film and you're just like, right, okay, well, all right then. Then watched Army of Darkness. Got this 4K Steelbook from Shout Factory in last month and just had to watch it, right? Because first off, it's a beautiful Steelbook. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous on that side of things, but it's also just such a fun movie. It's one of the other half's like top movies, and you know, we love a bit of Bruce Campbell in this household. So yeah, it's Army of Darkness. It's a classic and it looks beautiful in 4K. It always does slap me in the face that the theatrical cut of this is only 81 minutes long as well. Madness. But Army of Darkness, what more is there to say? If you haven't watched it, go watch the third Evil Dead. One of the best. Then watched Mallrats. This is the 4K from Arrow Video, and it's been sat on the shelf like right here for maybe like a year plus, and I finally got around to watching it, and boy does this look beautiful in 4K. It's got an intro from Kevin Smith, and it looks great, it sounds great, and it's been quite a few years since I watched Mallrats, and it's just such a fun time. Brilliant casting, brilliant storyline, just yeah. Oh, I love Mallrats. Now I've got it on a 4K. Yeah. And the final one before we start burning through all those Oscars, managed to get into the preview weekend of Project Hail Mary. And to show my hand straight away, this is currently my top film of 2026 so far. First off, saw it in IMAX and it looked absolutely gorgeous. Now, let's get into the negatives to start off with. Did it need to be 2.5 hours long? Probably not. Positives then. Ryan Gosling's great. Rocky's great. Sandra Hüll's great. It looks incredible. The score's incredible. The scripting is funny and has strong bits of tension. And because I didn't read the book, I went in relatively blind. A little bit gutted that the trailers did show Rocky to start with. Quite a few people I know who have read the book took quite an issue with that because it is a good reveal, and it probably would have been nice if we didn't know that it was an alien. Either way, Project Hail Mary was great, and it's great to see that an adapted screenplay is doing so well that it's getting that kind of water cooler moment of people being like, oh my God, have you seen Project Hail Mary yet? We're getting back to the good old days of cinema, I think. It's going to take a little bit of time. We've probably got a couple more years of this runway, but people are starting to get back. People are wanting to have those conversations. People are getting back. Physical media, movies, yeah. Right, let's talk about the Oscar nominees then. I'm just going to be going through the ones that I've watched this month, which is the majority of them. Obviously, I did catch some before March, so if you're wondering, oh, you haven't mentioned this film or this film, they'll be in a previous, like what I watched probably February and January. I think that covers everything. So, first off, I watched Elio. This was up for Best Animated Feature. It is Pixar's last film, and oh my god, this was just disappointing. Like, it was not good. Did not enjoy it. I was bored. Like, yeah, I'm a big supporter and champion of Disney and Pixar, but Cars 3 might have been better. Yeah, I'll probably die on that hill. I'd have to rewatch Cars 3, but I'm going to say that it might have been better. Then watched Come See Me in the Good Light. This was up for Best Documentary Feature. This follows the poet laureate Andrea Gibson through a number of years while they're dealing with a terminal illness. This was a very well put together documentary, and it really felt like you were invited into Andrea and Megan's home during this tumultuous time. This is another film that really hit me, and it does put a lot of things in perspective for you. This is available on Apple TV, so if you do have access to that subscription, I would absolutely recommend you go and checking this one out. Then I watched The Voice of Hind Rajab, which was nominated for Best Foreign Feature. And it follows the story of these Red Crescent volunteers who get a call from a 5-year-old girl who is trapped in a car under fire in the middle of Gaza. You follow this journey directly from the call centre's point of view, and it is an interesting mix of acted and real-life calls from the real Hind Rajab within this film. The fact that they are using the real calls, there are parts of this where you just don't want to watch it. Like, it's a hard watch because it's something that's happening in the world that's just not that far away. It's really hard for me to sit here and go that this was a good movie, but it is definitely something that should be viewed. It is currently available to rent on the Letterboxd video store, so if you do have that feature available in your country, I would recommend watching it. Then watched Arco, which was up for Best Animated Feature, and this follows the story of Arco, a boy who is from a future time, let's just say that, who ends up time traveling back to a more near future. It is a really fascinating story and it is animated really beautifully. This is another animation that is touching a lot on family and environmental issues, which I think from these 2026 Oscars, it's a real snapshot of the world at the moment because we're seeing a lot of very current topics showcased within these nominees where normally they wouldn't be in necessarily the mainstream. The main crux of the Arco story is that he needs to get back home, needs to get back to his family, and how they go on the journey with his newfound friend Iris, and then also how Iris deals with losing this friend that she's just made. It's actually just been released in cinemas a couple of weeks ago, so if it's still available to you when you're watching this video, go and check out Arco. Then watched Cutting Through Rocks. This was up for Best Documentary Feature, and it follows Sarah, the first ever elected councilwoman of her Iranian village. I was absolutely in awe of Sarah's story, and once again, a very current, topical documentary. The fact that in this, and this is slight spoilers, maybe skip ahead like 30 seconds if you're going to plan on watching Cutting Through Rocks. But there's a point in the film where she has to go to trial and make her do medical tests to try and strong arm her into having a sex change because it'll be less difficult that way. What? Baffling. Absolutely baffling. Then watched Blue Moon. This is the new Richard Linklater film and it was nominated for Best Actor for Ethan Hawke. Honestly, Ethan Hawke did a spectacular job. He was my kind of favourite pick. Like, I love Michael B. Jordan and Leo was great, but Ethan Hawke transformed himself in this performance. It follows Hawke's character Lorenz Hart in a bar after the opening night of Oklahoma, his former collaborator Richard Rodgers' new musical. Richard Rodgers, played by Andrew Scott, is spectacular. You've got Margaret Qualley in this as well. You've got Bobby Cannavale as the bartender who plays off Hawke really well. This is a really tight 100-minute, great, basically it's a play. It is a play in a movie. It is, yeah, it's really, really good. This is your middle of the video reminder to subscribe. Go. Do it. Then watch Sentimental Value. This was up for Best Foreign Feature and also up for Best Picture and Best Editing. I'm sure Sentimental Value has been spoken about many times in various things that you've watched, but this is a pretty darn good film. Like, there were shots in this and there's certain parts which just had me in a tailspin. Like, I was so elated at some of the shots. Like, I was a little kid at Christmas in what is a very somber family drama film. Like, it is dark in parts, and not dark from a horror or a violent side of things, just dark in the subject matter, and it really makes you look into yourself. It has brilliant performances throughout all of the lead cast and the supporting cast, to be honest. There is a reason why it got a chunk of nominations. Then watch Kokyo. This was up for Best Makeup and Hair Design. This was a 3-hour slog. Like, it was an interesting story. Not sure it needed to be an epic. I had a conversation last week that a lot of films would be a lot better if they were tight 90s. And some films obviously can't, but yeah, this probably didn't need to be this long, but it was a lovely view on this Japanese culture and this specific story. Ken Watanabe was kind of unrecognizable. Maybe that's because I don't realize that he's aged, and it was really weird because he's like an older gentleman now, and yeah, kind of made me a little bit sad. I was like, oh, Ken. Then watched If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This was nominated for Best Leading Actress for Rose Byrne, who did a spectacular job. The film is, yeah, the film's weird, to say the least. Like, it is a very weird film. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it is definitely weird. It follows Rose Byrne's character as she's dealing with being a single parent, but kind of not really, and her apartment caving in due to various issues, as well as kind of just being on the brink of a psychotic break. It is anxiety inducing, like, totally throughout the whole film. You're just on edge. So if you like an anxious film, watch If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Then watched Syriac. This was up for Best International Feature and Best Sound. I think it should have won Best Sound, to be honest, because this sounded great. This is a film about a father and son who are going through various desert music festivals in Morocco to try and find their missing daughter/sister. When a military coup breaks out in the country and these music festivals get cancelled, and they go on kind of a odd adventure with some other traveling music festival people, going through various bits of the desert and like very treacherous conditions. There are bits in this film where I was like, what did I just watch? Sound in it is phenomenal. It is I don't even know how to describe this film. But I definitely say watch it. Like, I'm so thankful, and I'm not sure why, but there was a couple of people at work who actually saw this. We ended up having like a 45-minute conversation about it. It's one of those type of films. It's good, but it is heavy. Then watch Train Dreams. This was up for Best Picture and Best Leading Actor. Train Dreams is one of those films where it feels slow, and it is slow, but you kind of just sit and lull into this world of early 1900s, late 1800s, and just enjoy where you are, enjoy the story that you're being told. It's kind of like a folk tale, but it's not really. The narration was kind of fine, kind of not fine. I probably could have done without it. But watching it at like 11 p.m, I was just like, I could fall asleep to this because it's so calming. It is a picturesque movie, and it is well worth your time. It's on Netflix, so if you're subscribed, go check out Train Dreams. Then watch The Lost Buzz. This is the new Paul Greengrass film starring Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrera. This was up for Best Visual Effects, and I must say it looked incredible. It follows the story of McConaughey's character, who is a school bus driver who gets caught in the middle of some Californian wildfires. This is actually based on true events, and first off, visual effects looked spectacular. Between this and Twisters, we are kind of getting back to that disaster movie space of like the 90s and like early 2000s. It was a really good time. Lots of tension. went on a little bit long. It's like 2:10. Could have once again been a much tighter time, a nicer time at 90. But it was a really, really good time. This is also on Apple TV, so I would really go and check it out. Then watch The Alabama Solution. This was up for Best Doc. And this is talking about America's prison system, specifically in Alabama, where they are just overrun. There is these mega prisons, which I didn't even really know about. I knew that there was a prison problem in America, but wow. You get footage from the inmates that have managed to smuggle phones in. There's talking head segments. Basically, it is talking about there is a lot of violence within these prisons, specifically from the guards onto the inmates. And honestly, it was disgusting to see. It is a harrowing doc for the fact that you are seeing a lot of this brutality, and it is just... it's just disgusting. Then watch Jurassic World Rebirth. This was day of the Oscars, like final hour. It was also Mother's Day, so it was like a crazy fast time. So I got up early to watch Jurassic World Rebirth. Kind of feel like I shouldn't have got up early. This is up for Best Visual Effects. And bar some monkeys at the start, there are... yeah, this is not a good visual effects movie. Yeah, it's just rushed. It's the state of the industry, and hopefully, stay tuned to the channel. There might be something about that soon. Speaking to someone, sitting down with someone. But yeah, it's rushed. All in all, the film's fine. Like, it's still a dinosaur film. And I'm like a kid who was brought up on dinosaurs being cool. I think every kid thinks dinosaurs are cool. It's still cool, but yeah, it was fine. Then I watched Viva Verdi. This was in there specifically for Best Song, but I watched the whole documentary anyway, and it was quite heart-wrenching. It is about a retirement home for musicians that was founded by Verdi, and it's a nice tale, though it's just kind of a bit shoddily put together, let's just say that. But it's really nice to see that these old musicians do have a place that they can go, still use their skills, and have a place where they are housed and cared for in their final days. But overall, the doc was meh, and the song was meh. And then finally watched One Battle After Another. Wow, what I thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, that is a good film. You saw my score, 4.5. Everyone was great in it, like phenomenal performances. Sean Penn is just, yeah, deserved that Oscar because he's just next level. I'm so excited for the Steelbook because I can't wait to watch it again. God, it looked great. Just a great film. Don't need to go into more of that. It's just great. Then the final Oscar film was Diane Warren Relentless. This is the documentary about Diane Warren being upset that she hasn't won an Oscar yet. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. This is the worst thing that I watched for the Oscars. Once again up for Best Original Song. She didn't win. Yeah, it was just like an hour and a half of service to Diane Warren, and there were certain bits in it that I was like, oh yeah, I've got no words for it. It was trash. Just trash. There is, like, she's a good songwriter. I don't know if she's ever going to get that Oscar, though, I'll be honest with you. There's been better songs for probably the last 8-10 years than whatever she's put out. So, sorry. So that's all the Oscar stuff. Wow, there's a lot of stuff. But it was a fun time watching everything, bar The Ugly Stepsister. I will get to watch that this month. Then watch The Revenant in IMAX for its 10th anniversary. This was great to watch in IMAX. I mean, yeah, it is a slow burn. It's a very slow burn, but it looked phenomenal. It sounds phenomenal. Like the track that we had for the IMAX screening was just like, I was like this the whole time. Like, I thought there was people behind us because of the rustling and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a great time. First time the other half ever watched it as well in IMAX, which is what an experience. Then I ended the month with a double comedy whammy of She's the Man, which is the Amanda Bynes, Channing Tatum film about having to dress up as a bloke to be able to play football. And you know what? This is a good rom-com time from like 2008. It's very much one of those ones which I can just watch and watch and watch and just not get bored of it. But also one of those ones that I need to get in the collection, but it is a toughie. Half of me thinks that I did have it, but I've checked the inventory app and everything, it's not there, so maybe not. And then the final film of the month that was influenced after an interview with someone last week was The Interview. This is the Seth Rogen, James Franco comedy about them interviewing Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea. And you know what, I haven't seen this for a while, but this is... it doesn't get enough recognition. Like, it's not great, but it is just a fun movie that you can kind of switch your brain off to. There's some good payoffs in it. Randall Parks is great as Kim Jong-un. Just a good mid-2010s comedy and a good way to end the month. And that's it. And you're probably thinking, wait a minute. You've gone through this video. You haven't talked about that film festival that you went to, Chris. I know. It's not it. I logged 28 films from Manchester Film Festival, and there was 3 or 4 that weren't even on Letterboxd. And the reason I haven't spoke about it, 1, because of the length, but 2, because I'm doing a full length video about everything Manchester Film Festival. There's going to be a massive video about everything. It was such a fun 10 days to spend up there, meeting people, meeting fellow collectors, meeting fellow film enthusiasts, speaking to directors and producers and writers, watching loads of films. It was a great time. But you'll have to watch that video for all of the films that I watched. There were definitely some standouts and there were definitely some stinkers, so it's going to be a good video. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that I watched this month. You've seen all the stats, but the real question is, what was the favorite thing that you watched? I want to know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching this episode of Cue the Credits. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk movies with me. Remember to do all of the YouTubey stuff, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace!